Welcome to the Love Life with Lauren podcast with me, your host, Lauren Jobson. I'm excited to bring you practical tips, techniques, and insights on how to improve your daily experiences with your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Enjoy today's episode. Welcome to this episode, which is a continuation of the Stop Self Sabotage series. So if this is your first podcast, welcome. You will get so much from this. Just to give you some context, what we've been doing is covering the 8 different ways we can sabotage ourselves. And I also speak about, well, why do we actually sabotage ourselves in the first place? There are 3 reasons. And so today's episode is sabotage number 7. And again, it will totally make sense. In fact, I recap all of the previous archetypes and principles and sabotages in this episode. So that will give you some context. And after this episode, I invite you to go and listen to all of the other episodes because that will make a lot of sense for you. Now, yay, the audio in this episode is really great because I've got this beautiful new microphone. So please, you'll hear that I do apologize for the audio being not such a great quality in the other episodes because these episodes have been coming directly from my free masterclasses. So enjoy today's episode. It is all about the lovers and self-love. And so I love this topic. In fact, I've written a whole book about it and you will hear about that. So go ahead and enjoy and learn for yourself some really amazing tips because I want you to really make sure and learn all the ways that you can deepen your relationship with yourself and deepen your self-love. So let's explore this right now. Enjoy the episode. These are the principles on how we manifest anything and everything in our world. So we looked at how the first one there is energy. And the archetype is the innocent adventurer. If you don't know what an archetype is, that's okay. Stay with me. What we've got is the innocent adventurer shows us that in order to have energy, we must be inspired. So I spoke about how in order for us to have energy at any time, no matter what's going on for us, even if we're quite tired physically and got things going on physically, you can actually still call upon more energy when you connect to your inspiration. And so what we've got as a sabotage are things like, well, no energy, tired, not inspired, no joy, stuck, too overwhelmed, so many ideas and not applying them. Okay, so there are some ways we can sabotage with the first one. Then we move into, from all potential that is the innocent adventure, we go into concentration. We must learn to concentrate on one thing at a time in order to manifest it. So the way I spoke about this with the way we can sabotage ourselves are things like not focusing, not having concentration, not bringing our ideas down and focusing on it enough until we start to do all these other steps coming up after it to actually see it in our world. We must learn to concentrate, which means to really cut away everything else and choose one thing at a time. In every moment you get to choose what can you focus on in that given moment. And so sabotaging are things like, not concentrating, not focusing, not choosing one thing, but it can also be too much concentration. So you can either become really focused, say like a workaholic, where your own physical needs stop, or you're not now communicating with the people around you because you're so engrossed in your work. So it can be out of balance. All right. Now, receptivity. We must then, once we concentrate, know how to receive what we're asking for. So this is a big sabotage for people, is not allowing themselves to receive what they say they want. Now, this principle, this receptivity that I'm recapping, is your unconscious mind. So there's a lot of depth here, and I explain how she is your unconscious mind, which means she is everything you've ever experienced. She has all of your memories, And she has all of your limiting beliefs, negative emotions, and things that are stopping you from receiving what you say you want, okay? So when we don't look at the people that have influenced in our lives, when we don't explore our limiting beliefs and built up negative emotions from the past, these are literally blocking us from receiving. Okay, so in a way of sabotage, this is pushing away compliments. It's feeling guilty and not worthy of receiving what you say you want. It's feeling like you can't have love in the way that you want to. You can't have success and happiness. So I'm doing this with my hands, pushing away, because our energy might be doing this, where our conscious mind, 4% of our mind's capacity, a very small part of us is our conscious mind, our willpower, and what we're aware of in this moment is like thinking that you're okay to receive that. But what is your energy doing? What are your behaviors, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions doing? Are you truly open on all levels to receive what you want? So this can be a real place of sitting with your unconscious mind. And this is all the work that I do in my programs and coaching, is help people at this step to look at their unconscious mind and resolve anything that is stopping them from getting what they want. And so then we have creativity. So once we receive, we then have to give birth to our ideas. So our ideas from the energy here, concentrate, we receive it, we must give birth to it. We must trust in our creativity. Now, this is a sabotage too, is people pleaser, drama cycles, giving too much to others and not giving to self. It's, total feeling like the victim or the over rescuer of other people, and or simply it's not trusting in your creativity. It's not using your imagination wisely, because every single human being is creative. We're always using our imagination, that self-talk inside your mind. Well, you can either create things in your mind that can create worry and anxiety, or you can use that same imagination differently to imagine success, happiness, joy, love, all the good things in the way that you want to. Then we've got structure and organization. So the principle moving into is organization. So the sabotage is the opposite of that, right? Not being organized, not having any discipline, any structure, being all over the place. Okay. So again, I'm just endeavoring to do these briefly. You can go back and listen in the podcast, the other sabotages. Now, then we go into, we must have intuition. So once we have structure from organization, we can then have a higher intuition about what is right for us. And so I speak, and I love my session on when I speak about intuition. So I share in that podcast about what stops our intuition, how do we listen and connect to our intuition, so then how do we listen and follow it. So I don't really want to go into that now, because that will, it was amazing when I spoke about it last time. So, and we have so much to cover tonight. So I'm now going to be covering the next two. So what have we got next? Well, we have the principle all about self-love. And the final principle is all about taking action, because, note to self, I'll do it next time, I didn't create the slide for you with the pictures revealed, but it's coming up. Okay, so firstly, what is a sabotage? Well, a sabotage, right, is this knowing that you want something, because the fact that you're here and you have this concept of self-sabotaging, then you already have an idea, well, I'm sabotaging my efforts. In order to truly sabotage, now I'll just move my video, what I'm covering up there is it says today. So there's a word here that says today, and I'm happy, I'll send you my slides after this as well. So particularly those on live, I'll send you my copy of my slides. So you've got the word today and where you want to be. And all the action in between is what you are doing to, and is it getting you closer to this? So there are 5 principles to success, by the way, that we get from what I teach NLP. And it's about, 1, you've got to know your outcome. know what is it that you want. Because then step 2 is, well, take action towards it. Because step 3 is, by the way, it's technical words, sensory acuity. What that really means is have self-awareness, have enough awareness, pay attention to the question of, that question that's really up the top here, is what you are doing getting you closer to where you want to be or not? It's like having that awareness. That's what it means. Stopping and going, is what I'm doing helping me? Is it having me getting closer to my goals? I don't know if I said that beautifully then, but that's okay. You get what I'm saying. Now, 4 is behavioral flexibility. It's about going, oh, no, maybe the behavior that I've been doing is not getting me closer to the goal. So I'm going to change what I'm doing. I am willing to change what I'm doing. I'm willing to do something different. Or if it is working, keep going. Keep going. Keep doing the same thing because it's working. Just do more of it. Keep going. Look at the times when it has worked and do that. Replicate that. That also is interesting for me to notice in myself and others, how we've actually succeeded at something in the past that is the same or very similar to what we're doing now, where we have a problem. And we don't stop enough and go, oh, well, I've actually done this before. How did I do that? What belief did I have about myself? What resource did I call upon? Was it extra support? Was it a particular resource like courage or confidence or, just self-belief when I didn't really feel it, but I pretended I did anyway? Just notice, what did you do in the past that did have you succeed, and do it again over here. Do it again, because this might seem pretty confronting. This might be a completely new thing you haven't experienced before, right? But you've probably, very likely, done something similar because you're always growing. And so your place of growth here could be similar to a place of growth back here. It just seems different because you're at a different evolution. You're doing something at an even higher level, so you're going to be even more rewarded. Okay, so then we want to have, number 5 here, a physiology of excellence. So meaning we want to use our body and our thoughts in a way of excellence, thinking of a really excellent example. Think of a human being that's already done what you're wanting. Now, it's not about being like them or becoming them. It's being inspired and going, well, okay, they seem really confident. So how can I put on confidence? Even if you don't feel it, kind of tap into those times when you have felt confident. So in order for us to understand sabotaging, it's realizing that we must have a sense of this idea that in any area of our life, okay, all the different areas of our life, we must have a goal, a result in mind, or a desire, whatever word you want to use. So we are going to keep going. I got a couple of people jumping in and out, so I'm sorry I'm not using names and saying hi because I'm not clear who is here, but that's beautiful that you are here, so thank you so much. All right, now every time I click, it goes backwards. Sorry with the slides. I don't know why it's going backwards. That's okay. I have to click. That's what it is. I can't click over here. I've got to click over here. All right. So we are up to sabotage number 7 because the previous ones have been covered in previous sessions. Here we go. All right. Here are some questions for you. Are you ready to stop doing things that aren't good for you? Why do we do that? Why do we sabotage ourselves by doing things that are not good for us? For example, is it eating or drinking things that you know are not good for your body, that in actual fact don't even make you feel good anymore? Well, I'm just been inspired and had an idea. What I'll do after this session is share with you a page where it's got the 4 levels of experience. It's from my book, and I talk about how we do things that once had us feel good, like it was a coping mechanism. And then we keep doing that because it becomes a habit. It becomes our unconscious coping mechanism for safety, because at least we know that thing. And so we default to the thing that's not good for us. But also now too, it doesn't even make us feel good. It might have made you feel good at some point in time. But the funny thing is about habits that aren't good for us is they stop feeling good, but we still do them because then it gives us certainty. Then it gives us safety. Then it just gives us, well, we know it, and it's become part of our routine. So interesting, when we sabotage ourselves in this way, what we want to look at is really becoming conscious of what is a trigger that's making you start that habit. What is the first thing that has to happen in order for you to be starting that behavior that's not good for you? Could it be a thought? Is it a particular emotion? Is it a particular time of day where you go into a particular, say, room in your house, walk into the kitchen and, you haven't gone to the bathroom first, even though you need to go, but you're all of a sudden going into the kitchen and you're grabbing something out of the pantry that's from a packet, and just because you're so hungry because you haven't ate well during the day, right? So it could be an example of people setting up a habit because, say, they don't eat well during the day, so they get home starving. They have all these other physical needs that they could do, but they're so hungry, go to the pantry, making a really poor choice for themselves, picking something out that's not healthy, not going to make you feel good, but it's this feeling of, well, at least it's kind of satiating a little bit of hunger. And right then, so we've got to break down some of our patterns of behavior and start to look at what is creating that trigger. And the trigger means that whenever that's happening, boom, you're just doing something automatically. It's like, oh, well, if that happens, then I feel like I don't have any choice. So it's like, if I get home starving, I go straight to the pantry for the crap food, fake food, as an example. Okay, so don't know if anyone relates. I think they do. I'm using examples from what I've heard before in my students and clients. What about, are you ready to be yourself without any shame? It's like, hey world, here I am. And stop downing yourself. Stop thinking, oh, maybe I should have done it differently. Maybe I should be this instead of that, right? It's like letting go of the shame. Can you just be yourself without all that second guessing? That's interesting. If you can't, if you've got this going on, the questions would be, who has made you feel that way? Who in the past has made you feel like you need to doubt yourself and feel shame for who you are? So who has shamed you? What beliefs have you then picked up about yourself that you're believing to be true at that deep unconscious level? Is it, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, it's not safe to be me? And do you have common negative emotions that drive you, like guilt, shame, embarrassment, self-doubt? Do you know they're going to create these feelings of feeling shame? So if this is going on for you, what I'm sharing here in examples are the 3 blocks that create our sabotages in the first place, and I'm going to share them after this. So if you're like, oh, Lauren's giving me all these examples, I'll break it down for you again, but repetition is really good. We're looking at people and people's influence, limiting beliefs, and negative emotions. Okay? And maybe you don't feel shame about yourself, so that's super cool too. Super cool. All right. Hi to those who have joined as well. Can't see everybody's name. So, all right. And then we have, finally, are you ready to stop repeating patterns of thought and behavior that are holding you back from your happiness? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Because here is what we've got. Oh, we've got another one. Are you ready to let go of the constant clutter in your life and lack of good decision making? Are you a good decision maker? All right, because the principle here, I'm going to talk more about how we sabotage ourselves, but how do we heal this sabotage? Is notice those questions all around your self-esteem and your self-love, your self-belief, and the way you then make decisions. So this 7th principle is, do I love myself enough to discern with what I need to cut away and what I need to keep? Now, the self-love principle is discernment. So just like in that slide before where I had energy, concentration, receptivity, creativity, organization, intuition. This one is we must have discernment. And the secret on how we know how to discern is to have self-love. And it is to know that when you make a self-loving decision that is best for you, because it's been self-loving, you would have done it from love. And that means that you will spread love to others who are involved, even if it means they are disappointed in the short term. When it's come from love, it means that you've had everyone else in mind, and yet you can't be responsible for anybody else. But because you've come from love, not from selfishness, you've come from self-love for yourself, it will always, always be most loving to everyone else involved in that longer term, even if it's not short term. So if it's like leaving a job and disappointing people because you left, that's loving for them because maybe they're disappointed to start with, but that will mean that they can then find somebody who wants to be there, who wants to really work and do a really great job. Similarly to if you need to break up with somebody because both of you know it's not a healthy relationship anymore, and a self-loving decision could be to separate. Well, the other person might be disappointed at first, but the thing is that would be a loving decision, because then that person gets to be free to find somebody that will love them and give them the love that they really want and deserve. It's not loving to another person to be with them when you don't love them in that way anymore. So when we make self-loving decisions, we're always loving others, and it's always most loving to them as well. And so this archetype, so each principle has what's called an archetype, which means it's the best of human experience, okay? So an archetype means the best, the most ideal of the human experience when it comes to this principle. And what we've got is anytime we see a man, it is our conscious mind, okay, excuse me. So we're all made up of masculine and feminine energy, no matter what our gender is or our gender identity is. So the male here is our willpower. It's our conscious focus, right? And it's our conscious mind. And he is surrendering to the unconscious mind, the woman here on the horse. And a woman is representing our unconscious mind, the hidden mind that we can't see, all the parts of our memories and emotions and beliefs and all the things that sit in our beautiful unconscious awareness. And we shine the light on a question, we give ourselves a question. And the moment we shine the light on something, boom, that comes out of our unaware mind and into our awareness. So she gives us the answer, and she is connected to the higher self, the angel. So we believe in our work that we have a soul, and that our soul is connected to all that is, and that you can connect and have absolutely connected so many times to this part of you that you could call your higher self, this part of you that has all the wisdom that ever was, is, and will be, that knows best for you. And you can connect with that part of you from your unconscious mind. So we can't always make sense of things with our conscious mind, right? But it can come through us in feelings, in stories, in symbols, in metaphors. And we can just connect with these messages that you just know. It's like your inner wisdom. It's like, wow, right? And the lovers is this idea that you can connect with your higher self as well. When you connect and trust yourself, when you come into your heart and you've taken all the resources from the previous archetypes. And so the one before this one was intuition, and the intuition speaks about connecting with your emotions and your logical mind. But then this idea of surrendering, that sometimes things are not logical and some things are not making sense. But, our emotions don't make logical sense, but our intuition speaks through, and it's this higher wisdom. And when you have self-love, you're willing to surrender, and you're willing to listen to it. And with this self-love, you can discern. It's this question of, what do I need to keep in my life and what do I need to cut away? So what more has this principle got for us? Well, in the shadow. All right, I speak about this in the first session on my first podcast now. What do I mean by in the shadow and in the light, right? Anything that's far away from what we want, the further away that is, it's in shadow. And the more we have of this amazing thing, that's in the light. Yeah, the closer we are to the light, the best that it can be. That's the light. So how does this principle then act as a sabotage for us? Well, it's like codependency on other people or codependency on other things, like codependency on a substance, even just say sugar or any kind of addiction could be a codependency on a coping mechanism. And other ways this comes through as a sabotage for us is it's unable to make decisions, particularly healthy decisions. So, even it can come from the little decisions like choosing what food you're going to eat when you go out to eat with friends or family. If you go out for dinner or lunch, are you somebody who knows what you want to eat and do you trust that? Or are you constantly second guessing your choices? And that is an example with food. But that can also be, that can be a big thing. But that can be a symbol of the bigger decisions that you make in life. Are you good with knowing what is best for you and sticking to it and doing it and believing in yourself, going for it and then just being happy with that decision? This comes with self-love. You've got to have self-love, self-belief. And when you have this connection with yourself, you're going to more easily know what is best for you. All right. Now, when you have this too, it's also meaning that you've cut away the negative influences of the past. So negative people and things that have been said to you that might still be holding you back, limiting beliefs, negative emotions from the past so that you can have this self-love. What about being stuck in illusion about something or disillusionment? So maybe you're not facing your health or your money or your relationships or any area of life. You're not really facing the truth. This is called being disillusioned. Now, we're all disillusioned about something at some time in our life. It's a principle of consciousness that we all go through where we are not ready to face the truth. And we are then invited to always look to seek the truth so that we can do something about it. Because if we don't choose to do something about it when something is not right for us, when we're not happy or it's not healthy for us, well, the principle says if we don't see the truth, the universe will do something to show us, and that will be more painful. So we want to just really be truthful to ourselves in each area of our life. It's like, am I being responsible in my finances? Am I being an adult or am I acting like a child? Right? And I talk a lot about this in a lot of my work about how we can act like a child in different areas of our life, or we can be a mature adult. And so if you're interested in that, I can give you some information to read about those stages of growth. So we want to be an adult in every area of our life. But in order to do that, we need to really be true about, are we being an adult in this area of our life? Or are we wanting someone else to look after us? Are we rebelling like a teenager? Are we wanting to escape like a young adult? And even are we overcompensating? So here are some questions to ask us about, are we being truthful to ourselves? And by the way, too, if your environment is overly cluttered, this can be a signal that you're not discerning. You are not cutting away what is not needed, because this principle is constantly inviting us to always reflect and think in every area of life where you saw the wheel of life before. Are you asking yourself, what do I keep and what do I need to cut away that is no longer good for me? All right, because this principle says that we can trust our unconscious mind to look to our higher self, and it will know. And we have to trust ourselves so that we can make healthy choices, so we can have unconditional self-love. So by the way, that's what my book is about. My book is about self-love. It's about the relationship you have with yourself, because I have this archetype as one of my passion and purpose archetypes. So I can explain a bit later on what that means, right? But I'm quite good at understanding the concept of self-love, and it's very aligned with who I am and my message to help people connect with themselves. And so this topic of self-love, I've written a whole book about it. So it's very in-depth and thorough. People are loving this book. Thanks, Chris. You've read it, I believe. And you have. I know you have. You've thanked me for it, and I appreciate that. And so this concept, it's a big one. I get it. It's a big, big, big one. All right. And it's about having unconditional love for ourselves. So having healthy balance of giving to others and also giving to ourselves. It's this ability to make the right change when we need it in our own lives. And it's about connecting to our own higher self and our heart's desires, So again, to be here in the self-love, we might need to really look at clearing that's kind of a technical coaching word for resolving or being at peace with negative influences in the past, limiting beliefs, and negative emotions. All right. And sometimes too, just taking action. So sometimes we think, oh, I have this emotion. Well, I really need to sit with this emotion. And yes, for a lot of people, they do. And if you've done a lot of coaching and a lot of personal development work, for those people, sometimes they just need to be reminded that you don't necessarily need to then go and do a coaching process. The next step for this person would be to take action, is to not feel confident, but do it anyway. Feel really scared, do it anyway. Not sure if if this decision is the best, most logical decision for you, but man, oh man, you can't deal with that anymore because that's not healthy, right? Might be, say, like leaving the job that's been making you miserable, not knowing your next step, but it's having enough self-love, and it's not having maybe all the answers, but taking the action, because the next step will become available to you, I believe, when you're connected to your higher self. And that is actually the next principle coming up. It's all about taking action. Now, we're sitting with the lovers still just for this little bit of time while I say to you that this sabotage can be caused by unresolved pain from an ex-lover or the opposite sex. Even if one is gay, they can still have stuff from the opposite sex that's really made them doubt themselves. Because when I speak about if we have problem with organization, a previous principle, I speak about how that's actually the father archetype. And so if we have problem with a father figure, we can have problems with our organization. And if we have problems with creativity, that's the mother archetype. So if we have issues and unresolved stuff around a mother figure, our mother or a mother figure, that can affect our creativity, the way we give birth to our ideas, the way we use our imagination. Okay, so each principle actually has an influence that has made us have more of this as a sabotage. And this one, being that it's the lover's archetype, if you've got issues around self-love, it can directly be because of the context of an ex-partner. Or when you were younger as a child, it could be the way you were starting to learn about your attractiveness. And if someone said something to you in a certain way, it can actually affect and stay with you, of course, your self-esteem, because you were a child. You were quite suggestible back then. Now, here are some things you can do, some questions you can ask yourself. From the perspective of loving myself, what do I keep and what do I let go of? Now, remember, I'm going to send you these slides, so you can absolutely please take that time to journal these answers, to sit with yourself, and please write these things out. And you can start doing that now. And you can write out all the things that you could let go of in your life, and then make a commitment to do that when that comes from self-love. And what about make a list of all the things you want to keep? That's exciting. All the things you want to keep. I hope you gained some helpful insight into how you can love yourself even more today to create a life you love. Remember, life is a process and you are in process. So all of your feelings are valid, and can lead you to incredible learnings and growth if you only choose to be self-aware and self-accepting, to connect into yourself and listen to that beautiful inner wisdom of yours. Please come over to my socials, including Instagram at Lauren Jobson, and to share with me what you learnt from today's episode by commenting on this episode's post. I'd love to connect and hear from you. Subscribe and share the love by sharing this podcast with others. I hope to be in your ears again in the next episode.